This is the Fearless Launching Show. I'm your host, Anne Samoilov, and today is our very last episode of Season 5, which just kind of came and went very quickly, though it actually didn't. It started a couple months ago, 3 months ago. Anyway, so today we're actually kind of doing a little bit of a mixed bag episode. This is a wrap up, and it's going to be very conversational, very behind the scenes, just sharing some lessons, things that hopefully you can take into your business as lessons you don't need to actually, or mistakes, things you don't actually have to do necessarily to learn about them. So anyways, let's get into it. The Fearless Launching Show was created to answer the question, how can I launch my big idea to the world in the most simple, straightforward way possible and reach more of the right people? I'm your host, Anne Samoilov, and I've been helping 6- and 7-figure business owners launch for over a decade. And while I love geeking out about improving launches, new launch strategies, what's working, what's not working, I'm also obsessed with exploring the heart, the mind, the challenges of running your own business. And that's what we're going to do each and every week. I want to show you how to launch that course or coaching program or other creative work and navigate the journey of being an online entrepreneur. So if you're ready for some new perspectives, some new stories around launching, well, I can't wait to share those with you. Let's get into today's episode. All right, well, we're here. We made it. This is our last episode of season 5. I decided this season to just have 15 episodes. I decided on their topics at the very beginning. I batched the first half, I batched that second half, and here we are. This is our final episode, and I've decided to make it a mixed bag episode of the season where we're going to be talking about a few different things. What to expect next season and when it begins. The good and bad about this season. This is some behind the scenes stuff. Some of the lessons learned in my business along the way. How I'm moving forward and who's inspired me to move forward with some real shout outs to people that I've been following, loving, and just getting inspired by. So let's dive in. Okay, what to expect next season and when it begins. So here's the thing. The next season starts in the fall. September. Okay, I don't have the exact date for you, but it'll be coming soon. And this is kind of a big deal because I've decided to go back to interviews. And this time we'll be doing some interviews with some amazing teachers, mentors, and also business owners just like you sharing their stories. So guess what that means? I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. So I want you to email me. Don't send me a pitch. Introduce yourself to me. Tell me who you are. Tell me that you heard this mixed bag episode and why you want to be, what is it about your story that you want to share on this podcast? So I want to hear from you. That's call to action number 1. All right. So the good and the bad about this season. And by the way, you can hear me going fast. It's because I want to get you in and out of this as quickly as possible. But, there were definitely ups and downs this season. At the beginning, I said, I batched the first half and then I batched the second half. But really, that interruption didn't happen on purpose. I batched part of the season. Then I was in the middle of a launch. And then I got sick at the end of the launch, which is something that sometimes happens. And then I had to just focus on delivering the program. And then I finally got back into it. And then I decided, you know what? I just need to double down and do the rest of these just in case someone else in my life gets sick or I get sick again. So I was able to do the rest of the season. And then I saved this episode for the day before I was going to release it because I wanted it to be fresh, complete. I wanted it to be really I just wanted to be able to go, boop, put a period at the end of this podcast sentence. And now I am very grateful that I did all that batching and I got this done because all of a sudden I have a full client load. And that includes people in the incubator, people who were in the Message Lab sprint that we did, who now we're doing some sessions after the fact. And other types of clients and other types of projects that are coming up in the fall. So some that are happening now, some in the fall. And then all of a sudden, I have barely had time to literally even promote these last 5 episodes. So you probably saw me like I had so little time that Planoly was just like spitting them out without any caption on them. I thought, oh, that's real classy, and just put up the picture. No need for any kind of explanation about why you did it or where to go to listen to it. So if you saw those, you can just chuckle to yourself that was an and fail right there. Planoly was doing its job. I just didn't do mine by completing the captions before it went live. So anyway, so the good and bad about the season is that, I really loved planning out the season in advance. It was great that even when my batching had to stop midstream, I knew exactly where to pick up. I had like the whole thread figured out from top to bottom, including outlines. The only one that didn't have an outline until, earlier this week was this one, because I wanted to make sure that I had time to do it. I had added everything that I wanted into it. And I want to give you that freedom to do that too. I know you might like to be prepared, but I actually love being on the fly with things, depending on what it is. So some lessons learned have to do with planning and doing and promo and all of that. So moving forward, I think, and I've been just kind of playing around with this. If you listen to last week's episode, it's all about systems this summer, not just for myself, but for my clients as well, and inside my programs, that I'm basically going to have 3 different batches. Planning is going to be a batch, doing is going to be a batch, and promo is going to be a batch. Because podcast is not detailed enough almost. There's the planning what you're going to do. Then there's going to be doing what you're planning. And then, of course, you want to spread the word. So I have to basically separate out the fall podcast and make sure that I do enough planning in advance, reaching out to my interview guests, making sure everybody's all set up, having specific recording dates, all that kind of stuff, and making sure that it fits in with the thread of the season 6. So the next thing is to listen to your people more. Sometimes when people say things like, oh, I loved that, or great, thank you so much for helping me, it's easy to just kind of pass that by and just keep going. I don't wallow in that kind of pity. I don't even wallow in praise. And I think sometimes you do have to stop. You do have to acknowledge. And that's basically what I had to do, what I've been having to do. So today, or actually, as of this recording, maybe it was a couple days ago, I had an amazing call with a woman who was in she was actually in one of the original Message Lab versions, but then we just did a sprint. She joined for that. And she was she's, Anne, I've been telling people about this program is a game changer, and I hope you do it again. I hope you do. And it was funny because it hadn't even been on my radar. I was like, I don't know when I'm going to do that again. And I hadn't even thought about it. But why am I not listening to you? Why am I not listening to my peeps? And so over the next month, I will likely be reaching out to hear what it is that you're struggling with, why certain things that you're involved with. I know a lot of you are in different types of programs, working with different coaches. I don't want to know more about that. I want to know so that I can help you, so that I can create content that you want here on this podcast, that, for free resources and things like that I can create for you. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to listen. All right. So moving forward, this is the next part of the process. And I think that this is kind of the part that I feel a little goofy sharing, but I'm going to share it anyways because, one of my best friends, Lourdes Diaz, she's an amazing producer. And I just wanted to say that, watching, she's definitely one of my people that I'm going to do a shout out to, but this is really about watching friends, colleagues make different choices, make new choices, let go of things, move in new directions, not be afraid to say, no, that no longer works for me. And watching that can really be freeing. I know that it can be freeing for you as the person when you make these kinds of decisions. And we all have times in our lives when we make those decisions. But, watching others and share why they made decisions, it can really help you look at your own business, your own life, and the way you get so wrapped up in things and think, what's my life about? Is it really making opt-in pages? Is it really doing this? I'm calling this a priority, but is it a priority? What's really the priority, and I'll be definitely exploring this myself as I think that's why I want to create these systems and spend the next month doing that, because I feel like without systems, you're just constantly being torn from task to task, launch to launch, having to create this. I got to do that. I got to up my revenue. I got to scale all the things. And I'm done with it. I'm done with feeling like that kind of rush. And I'm looking forward to July with my daughter and my family's coming to visit. And I'm really thrilled. So to that end, I want to shout out to some people who have really, and I'm gonna link to something that really spoke to me of them in the show notes. So if you know these people, you might not know what content I'm talking about or what they said that got to my core. But I'm gonna shout out to Tyler McCall. Really just watching his journey over the last several years and his recent decision to stop his online course business was it was done with such grace. And I just really enjoyed watching that and witnessing his expression of that. I really love that. Mel Robbins is someone who, I really respect. I actually feel like we're kindred spirits to some extent, just because some of the things she says. And now she always talks, I think she's in Vermont. I'm like, I grew up there. See, we're twins. No, but seriously, there are days where I pop on something on Instagram. I see Mel and I will link to the thing that recently was just like, whoa, to me, for me. Vanessa Lau, she's another online entrepreneur who I just love her energy. She's on YouTube. I don't know if she still has her podcast or that's coming back, but regardless, Vanessa she actually reminds me of someone I used to work with a long time ago. And I think I like that kind of fast energy. She challenges you to move as fast as she does. I love that. And author, speaker Jenny Blake, been reading Free Time, this great book. I swear I'm reading it. I'm listening to it on Audible. So I will leave a link to that. I just think it's such an important book. Next up for me is going to be reading Pivot. And then, of course, there are countless others. I think every day there's people that I witness making decisions, new choices, sharing different ways that they want to show up. And they want to, I'm thinking back a couple months ago, maybe earlier this year, Kate Crocco making that decision to do that for herself. And close friends of mine who were doing one thing, but now are just ready to show up differently in their life and reassess what's important to them and what is not. So yeah, that's that. So you see, this really was a mixed bag episode. I think if there's one thing I want to leave you with today, it's don't be afraid to just not have it all together. Because I know that, yeah, of course you want people to know what they're talking about, but it's okay to listen to someone as a human being, expressing themselves, being excited about what they're being excited about, and that they don't sound scripted, And sure, I had an outline here, but I don't really do well with scripts. I'm like the person who's like the segue to random topics person. Thanks, Mom. Anyways, I hope you have a great amazing summer. And I really hope to be in touch with you soon. I am going to be sending out kind of like a little playlist of some favorite episodes, not just from me, from people that I think you should know about too. There are lots of people that I've been listening to lately that I never thought I would. And so I'm going to be sharing those throughout the summer. And as well, if you listen to something and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about this, don't hesitate to let me know. I want to know what you're enjoying and what you're up to. And I'll see you on Instagram. So make sure you're following me there so you'll know what's up. And I'll be back in September on the podcast. Take care and have a great rest of your day.